Hey guys, it's Miss Lassiter. Our next unit's going to be on decimals, so I'm going to do a quick review of what I think you've covered when you were in 3rd and 4th grade. This cartoon is a little bit of a kind of a joke on the clown and saying you'll win if you can hit a section that has a fraction and another section that has a decimal that are equivalent. Some people think fractions can only be equal to other fractions and decimals to other decimals, but we all know that fractions and decimals are just numbers written in different formats. So we're first going to look at talking about one whole. If a whole is the whole square, and it, as you can see on the left, it's split into 10 sections, and one of them is colored green. So we would say the green section is 1/10 of the whole thing, which as a fraction is 1/10, and as a decimal is 0.1, and that is read as 1/10. And the number line corresponds directly to the picture. Your number line is split into 10 sections between 0 and 1. It's only part of the number line, so 0.1, and which is equivalent to 1/10, is 0.2. The second picture has, again, one whole split into 10 equal sections, 5 of them colored orange, so 5/10, which is actually also equal to the fraction 1/2. It's actually easier to keep your denominators as 10, 100, or 1,000 because then it more closely relates to the metric system, and it's easier to convert back and forth from decimals to fractions. And the number line, again, is split into 10 sections, and halfway through at 0.5 or 5/10, the arrow is pointing. This is the next section where they have taken your one whole, in which on the previous page it was split into 10 equal sections. Well, each of those sections has been split into 10, so the entire square has been split into 100 little squares, and each square stands for 1/100th. So since that's colored, we can see that this represents 1/100th. And again, the corresponding number line goes from 0 to 10. And it's originally split into your 10 equal sections of 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, etc. But then each of those tenths is split into 10 sections, and each of those sections is 100th, and so it's 0.01 or 1/100th. This is very similar to thinking in money of a dollar. If you split into 10 equal sections, each one is a dime, and if you split your dime into 10 sections, each section is a penny, or 1/100th of a dollar. The second picture, again, has my whole split into 100 sections, and it looks like 16 of them are colored blue, so 16 100ths are shaded, and you can see here that on the number line that it's between 1/10 and 2/10, which is between 10 100ths and 20 100ths, and so the line points to the 6th section, which shows me 16 100ths. Now, when we talk about anything with a TH at the end, so we've dealt with place value a lot, and when the decimal point is entered, when you look to the things to the right of the decimal point, all the place values have this THS at the end, and that means you've split something into pieces. So the first place to the right of the decimal is tenths, then hundredths. So you'd have to think of, if I had 10 tenths, that's 10 over 10, which is also equal to 1. If I have 10 hundredths, that is equal to 1/10. So 23 hundredths is equal to 2 tenths and 3 hundredths, which can be written out in expanded form, or then you can realize that the 2 tenths is equal to 20 hundredths, so it's 20 hundredths plus 3 hundredths, which is 23 hundredths. This notation over to the right is just showing you in a place value chart how you would put it on a chart. When you read a decimal, the decimal point is the only time you're supposed to say the word "and" when you are reading a number. So this decimal to the right is 1 and 25 hundredths. We don't usually read it as 1 and 2 tenths 5 hundredths, we combine the 2 and the 5 and make it 25 hundredths. When you're comparing decimals, it's the same thing as when you're comparing whole numbers. You line them up so that the right place value is above the right place value. And in this one, they have in the ones place, they both have a value of 2, so they're equivalent. And then you go one space to the right, which is the tenths, and you compare them column by column. In the tenths, we can see a difference, so it makes the 2.3 to be greater than the 2.13. So 2 3/10 is greater than 2 13 hundredths. When we want to take a fraction and convert it to a decimal, the easiest thing to do is to take your fraction and make it into an equivalent of fraction that has either 10 or hundredths in the denominator. So 1/5 is equal to 2/10, and as we learned earlier this year, when you divide by 10, you move the decimal over one space, so it becomes 0.2. Or the 2 is in the tenths column, so they are equivalent. An improper fraction, you would need to think what part of it makes a whole number. So 4 goes into 5 once, so that 4/4 is equal to 1 whole, with the 1/4 left over. So you have 1 1/4, which is 1 25 hundredths, which is 1.25. Again, if you're converting a mixed number to a decimal, we can read this number as 1 3/20. So we know the 1 is going to give me 1 point something. So I have to again look at the 3/20 and say, how can I write this as a fraction that has 10 or 100 in the denominator? Well, 20 times 5 is 100, so I multiply 3 times 5 and I get 15. So 3/20 is equal to 15 hundredths, which as a decimal is 0.15. With the 1 in front of it, it becomes 1 15 hundredths. When we learn to round, if we have something that's asked to round to the nearest whole number, you always look to the place value 1 to the right. To the right of the ones place is the tenths place. So again, if it's 4 below, let it go. So if it's a 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, you're going to round it down or just cut off everything. And if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, you're going to move it up to the next number. So again, 4 below, let it go. 5 or above, give it a shove. And the same thing happens when you're rounding to the nearest tenths. Since we're going to the tenths, we look to the hundredths place. And if you look at this number line only goes from 2 3/10 to 2 4/10. That's 2 30 hundredths and 2 40 hundredths. So halfway between is 2 35 hundredths. And again, if the number in the hundredths place is a 4 or below, you're going to let it go and just be 2.3. If it's 5 or above, you're going to give it a shove and move it to 2.4. So now I'd like you to pause the video on this page and answer these 4 questions. You can answer these questions either in the front of your spiral book or on a separate sheet of paper. So I would pause here, now, and then when you're finished, you can go on to the next page and pause it, and I would do problems 4, 5, 6, 7. I would pause here. When you're finished, I have scrolled up so that you have 8 through 12. Pause it again. Answer questions 8 through 12. And then the last questions, which you will pause and answer 13 through 20. Good luck with all of these, and hopefully this is all a refresher and not completely new to you.